Italy, Alfa Romeo. Wow, a Pebble Beach Gran Turismo trophy of 2009. The 1965 Gallia TZ2 Corozata de Zagato. Wow, that is one wicked old car, man. At 163 horsepower, 123 foot-pounds of torque. Here's technically my favorite Alfa Romeo, is the 8C. Let's see, this is a 2008. This has 429 horsepower and 343 foot-pounds of torque. Then you got stuff like the little basic cars like this one, Alfa Romeo 147 Ti 2.0 twin spark. This is 142 horsepower with 129 foot-pounds of torque. Brera Sky Window. That means the top of the car is glass. That's a pretty cool style. That one's not that bad. 248 horsepower with 230 foot-pounds of torque. So we got the GT 3.2 V6 24V. 220 horsepower with 211 foot-pounds of torque. This one's a 98, the 156. This is a 184 horsepower with 156 foot-pounds of torque. This little Spider Duetto. 104 horsepower and 99 foot-pounds of torque. Oh, a Gallia. There goes a Gallia Sprint Special. Yeah, that one there. 109 horsepower, 94 foot-pounds of torque. Let's see, we got the 166. 184 horsepower, 158 foot-pounds of torque. Spider 3.I V6. That's definitely an interesting look. Is a chunky son of a gun. 209 horsepower with 192 foot-pounds of torque. Here's the GTV 3.0. This is like the coupe version of that car we were just looking at. Same horsepower, okay. Here's a 155. That's the one that's the race car, the 155. Look at that ugly, chunky, fucking square bastard. 104 horsepower with 210 foot-pounds of torque, and it's all-wheel drive. Then a 147 GTA 2002. That's pretty nice. Pretty cute little coupe. And then we got the Gallia Spirit GTA 1600. 109 horsepower, 101 foot-pounds of torque. Another 147, but it's the twin spark. Then we got Lamborghini. That looks nice. 2011 Aventador LP 704. See, now this thing's just badass. I remember when it first came out, like, I really think this was a little more of an aggressive Lamborghini. Like the rear here, oh, look at the rear tail. I gotta admit, like, this is probably one of the only Lambos that I kind of like, because I'm not wild about Lambos, to be honest. I'm not really a Lambo person, but this one, the aggressiveness of it, I thought it was pretty cool. This particular one came out at 669 horsepower with 493 foot-pounds of torque. The Lamborghini Murcielago LP 674 Super Volus. I'm not gonna lie, that's a cool Lambo. 641 horsepower and 472 foot-pounds of torque. Now that I think about it, I cheated a little bit with this guy right here. So this Mira, the power it's got right now is after hooking it up. 482 horsepower and 332 foot-pounds of torque, which I think is a little more appropriate for the old gal. Now we have the Lamborghini Murcielago LP 640. So that's one. This one I believe was the more baseline one, if I'm not mistaken. 611 horsepower and 472 foot-pounds of torque. And then the Lamborghini Gallardo LP 560. Actually, now that I think about it, this type of car was featured in a show called Car Trek. So if you ever wanted to see a pretty cool show, pull up on YouTube Car Trek. All three gentlemen are pretty cool. They know their cars, and they've owned a lot of cars. With the help of Car Tempest is the one that sponsored that show. 535 horsepower and 386 foot-pounds of torque. Look at this. The Nomad Diablo GT1. Because then they have this, the 1974 Countach LP400. That's one basic ass Countach, man. 362 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. But then you got, bada bang, a 1988 Countach 25th anniversary. Now that is a Countach. 435 horsepower, 304 foot-pounds of torque. Oh boy, some Ferrari. So the very first one is the Ferrari SP1 2008. Looks good. I like that style. 480 horsepower, 332 foot-pounds of torque. It's pretty. And then here is the Ferrari F430 from 2006. This looks nice silver. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why. It's like the Scooty area and this one are the ones that have like kind of a sweet spot where I would say if I were to want a Ferrari, it'd be something like that. So this is also at 480 horsepower and 332 foot-pounds of torque. Taillights look nice on this one. Then we got the Ferrari 599 from 2006. This one I'm not wild of. I mean, the front, I definitely don't like the front. The rear's kind of meh. And this is sitting at 594 horsepower at 434 foot-pounds of torque. The Ferrari California 2008. So you're going to go and say that you're actually going to make a car specifically with the name California. And it happened to be convertible, of course. The stylings of this one is pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. I think it looks pretty cool. I do like the idea of how they had the stacked exhaust. Sitting at 439 horsepower and 344 foot-pounds of torque. It's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. I just feel like it's got a fat ass. Oh, the legendary Ferrari F40 1992. This fucking thing. It's amazing how many of these are not really out there. Actually, I was just looking at the recent SEMA shows got one of these in all white. But I think that was it. I mean, just by looking at it, it looks like they didn't do much. All they did was say, hey, I painted it white. 457 horsepower and 412 foot-pounds of torque. Oh, good lord. Look at this. A 1976 512 BB. Now, kind of cheated. Those are not the original wheels. It's also sitting a lot lower. This wasn't black. I made it black. But also I beefed it up. So she's sitting at 537 horsepower and 446 foot-pounds of torque. So out of the options I was allowed to deal with this car, that's the horsepower that I was able to achieve. That's naturally aspirated. Wasn't allowed to do any turbos or superchargers, which I think is bullshit. I'm pretty sure in real life you could, but as naturally aspirated, really good numbers. This is technically the one I like, the 430 Scuderia. I don't know why I like it. It's interesting. Like, for some reason, the stylings on this car, especially considering it's black and yellow. Yeah, this car is pretty nice. 488 horsepower at 336 foot-pounds of torque. Then you got the 458 Italia from 2009. 546 horsepower with 386 foot-pounds of torque. And then the Enzo Ferrari. It's ridiculous how much that thing actually costs. This is at 639 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque. Oh yeah, that thing right there. That's nice. Another Enzo Ferrari. Maserati. This one in particular, in real life, I really do like the sound of this car. This car sounds very beautiful. It is a beautiful V8 on this thing. Like, it really does sound beautiful. If you do want one, go used. You'll be able to get one used for a damn good price. This is a nice looking car. At 426 horsepower and 350 foot-pounds of torque. Oh, Lancia Delta HF Integral Evolution. This is 203 horsepower at 217 foot-pounds of torque. So we got the Delta HF. So that's like the other one we were looking at. Okay, so 203 horsepower, same power. Okay. Then you got the Delta HF, the Rally version. Okay, the Rally is at 286 horsepower and 350 foot-pounds of torque. Stratos, there it is. That fucking thing is wicked. 1973. Just look at that thing. 179 horsepower and 161 foot-pounds of torque. And here's the off-road version. So this is at 264 horsepower and 230 foot-pounds of torque. Then you got the Delta S4 Rally car, 1985. 434 horsepower and 322 foot-pounds of torque. Pagani, the Pagani Zonda R. This fucking car here. That is such a wicked car, man. Dude, look at that thing. It's ridiculous. And this got that color scheme that I like. I like black with nice gold. Like, it's got that one gold line. It's got the wheels gold. Like, I think it's a very nice look. And let's see, this is at 715 horsepower with 508 foot-pounds of torque. That's wild, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. This is definitely one of those cars I would just love to get the experience, to get behind the wheel of this and drive it around just for a few minutes. The different ones they got, like, so we got the Zonda C12 from 2000. So this one's just a basic Zonda at 375 horsepower and 406 foot-pounds of torque. Then you got the Zonda C12S. A little different spoiler back there, okay. But this one's at 526 horsepower, 536 foot-pounds of torque. Then you have the race car, which is at 632 horsepower and 536 foot-pounds of torque. Then you got the 2002 Zonda C12S, 531 horsepower and 536 foot-pounds of torque. Fucking Fiat. It's amazing how that company now, if I'm not mistaken, the parent company, as in it owns Chrysler and Dodge. 63 horsepower and 73 foot-pounds of torque. Then you had stuff like this one, which is a 1968 Fiat 500F. So it's 16 horsepower now with 21 foot-pounds of torque at 520 kilograms. The 500R, 500L, we saw that. Oh, so this is that one where I remember every time I saw a Barth, I think that was like a performance variant of a car. A punto, que punto. So 124 horsepower and 117 foot-pounds of torque. And then we got the Barchetta Giovanni at 123 horsepower, 117 foot-pounds of torque. This thing, the Coupe Turbo Plus, what the fuck is this? I mean, look at that fucking styling. I know there's someone out there that probably likes that. 206 horsepower and 221 foot-pounds of torque. Oh my god, the Fiat Panda. Panda Super. Dude, it's a Panda. Can you believe that? That Fiat, an Italian company, has a car called the Panda. Let's see. So this is 42 horsepower and 52 foot-pounds of torque. That's cute. And then a Fiat 500F. Another one. Another F. The Arabianchi. Oh, look at that little guy. He's so cute. 67 horsepower, 60 foot-pounds of torque. Oh, God. You know, I honestly never sat down and tried to pronounce that damn name. This thing has, I think, 4 pop-up and down headlights. This is the V16T from 1994. 562 horsepower, 527 foot-pounds of torque. I'll see you in the next country. Later.